All right, I think we're going to get started. We have a lot to cover today. So, welcome to today's webinar on funding and incentives to support pollution prevention and energy efficiency projects. My name is Jen Jones, and I'm going to be your host today. During this webinar, we will have presentations on utility rebates, energy efficiency and pollution prevention grants, and workforce development grants. This webinar is sponsored by the United States Environmental Protection Agency, and thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. Before we begin, I have just a few quick items of business to cover. If you are having any technical difficulties accessing or hearing the presentation, please use the chat pad and we'll try to correct them promptly. The presentation will last approximately 80 minutes, which is followed by a Q&A period. Please hold all questions. We will answer all questions at that time. And we're going to wait so that way we can go through it efficiently. If you have any questions after the webinar is over, please send them to us via email at pentap@psu.edu. This webinar is being recorded and it will be loaded on the PennTAP website as a later date. You will receive a follow-up email notifying you when it is available with a copy of today's presentation. Today, we will begin with a quick overview of PennTAP and our services. We will then discuss the Act 129 utility rebates available through PP&L, First Energy, and Duquesne Light Company. This discussion will be followed by presentations on P2E2 and workforce development grants before concluding with our brief question and answer session. PennTAP, or the Pennsylvania Technical Assistance Program, is a grant-funded organization at Penn State. I'm proud to say that 2025 marks our 60th anniversary, so congratulations to us. Our mission is to provide Pennsylvania companies with technical assistance and access to Penn State's talented faculty and students in order to solve business challenges. Simultaneously, PennTAP provides Penn State faculty and students with opportunities to broaden their impact, expertise, and experience through engaged applications. PennTAP services are offered statewide. They fall within one of two categories: energy and environment or innovation. Under our energy and environment services, we complete on-site assessments to assist manufacturers in identifying opportunities to reduce energy consumption or the pollution generated at the site. We also assist our clients to procure grant funding to offset the cost of these projects. Through our innovation services, we engage with businesses to improve their operations and drive innovation. We accomplish this by assessing the business's need and then connecting them to the many resources available through our network of statewide resource partners. Since Penn State faculty and student engagement is such a valuable resource for innovation or product and process development, we also connect Pennsylvania businesses to the myriad of capstone courses and other opportunities for industry and classroom collaboration at Penn State, or the university's research facilities, such as the Materials Research Institute or the Huck Institute of Life Sciences, thereby fulfilling the land-grant mission of Penn State. So how do we accomplish this? We provide assistance through our regional network of PennTAP advisors who, as you can see from the map shown here, are embedded within the communities we serve. Our team offers a combined 200 years of experience and is comprised of chemical engineers, electrical engineers, and environmental scientists. The PennTAP team includes certified energy managers, a professional engineer, certified Six Sigma Green Belts, a certified water efficiency professional, and a LEED Green associate. I am proud to say that in 2024, we helped Pennsylvania small businesses achieve $14.3 million in economic benefits across 34 counties within Pennsylvania. We educated over 1,200 individuals and saved or created 80 jobs. Now I will turn the webinar over to our presenters. We will begin by discussing the Act 129 utility rebates that are available through Pennsylvania's major utility providers. While we will be focusing on electricity rebates, please keep in mind that there may be rebates available through your natural gas company as well. We will begin with Bud Fogelman, who will be discussing PP&L's rebate program. Bud is an accomplished energy efficiency professional with over 11 years' experience in encouraging participation in energy efficiency programs for Pennsylvania utilities. In his current role, he leads a team of market outreach specialists and account managers to curate effective relationships between commercial and industrial customers, trade allies, and program energy engineers to identify custom energy efficient projects that produce long-term savings. We will then hear from Ryan Novosedliak, the Program Implementation Manager for First Energy. A Penn State graduate, Ryan has worked on the CSP side of the First Energy PA, PP&L, and Potomac Edison programs. He was also a project developer for Duquesne Light Company, helping to connect solar, EV projects, and new apartments to the DLC grid. Last but most certainly not least, Liz McQuaid, the Senior Program Manager at Willdan, will provide information on the rebates available through Duquesne Light Company's rebate program. Liz provides leadership and management to several energy efficiency programs and brings more than 10 years of energy program experience to her role. She currently manages DLC's business programs, overseeing project application processing and monitoring administrative and incentive budgets. She ensures outreach, engineering, and M&V are being completed for the portfolio and provides regular client reporting. And with that, I will now turn it over to Bud Fogelman for PP&L's Electric Business Energy Efficiency Program. Bud?
Thank you, Jen. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Next slide. We'll welcome you, and we'll start with a bit about the PPL program. The agenda will be reviewing the program as an overview. We'll talk about the downstream prescriptive and custom programs, direct discount, instant discounts, and how to apply for an incentive. Next. As you can see on the right, there's a representation of the PPL service territory. You can see in the map of Pennsylvania there where that fits into the state. We are a 5-year program that started on June 1st of 2021. Current incentives are available for projects completed by May 31st of 2026, which is the end of the current phase. We are currently in phase 4. This is available to all non-residential PPL customers. Next slide. We would like to start by announcing an offering that will start this fall for a building operator certification level 1. This is a great opportunity for building operators that are interested in furthering their careers. The certification teaches building operators how to find practical and low-cost and no-cost efficiency solutions by working with existing systems. By registering with PPL Electric, we will cover the full cost of the training. We ask that participants pay $500 up front, and then after completion of the course, we reimburse that $500, covering the full cost. The course value is $18.95. So if this is something of interest, you certainly reach out. We can give you more details. Next. Let's talk a little bit about our program channels. You can see them represented here in these 4 different tiles. Prescriptive is anything that can be solved using calculations from the Pennsylvania TRM, the Technical Reference Manual. If a project is outside of the calculations available in that TRM, we look at it as a custom project. For custom projects, our engineering team would review the project, the scope of work, and develop a specific measurement and verification plan for that project. Moving over to direct discount for small business. This is a prescriptive offering, but it's unique, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth in just a moment. Instant discounts is just what it says. This is the availability of a point of purchase reduction in the cost of a qualified product. Offers are in lighting, HVAC, agriculture, and food service equipment. And again, at the bottom, you can see all non-residential customers are eligible to participate. Next slide, please. Our incentive structure. All businesses are eligible for solar and CHP at 8 cents per kilowatt hour saved. We offer $15 per Energy Star certified smart thermostat. And we operate an HVAC tune-up program. In the small business category, prescriptive projects are paid at 5 cents per kilowatt hour, while custom projects are paid at 8 cents per kilowatt hour. Small businesses are eligible for direct discount. Exterior lighting is paid at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. All other measures, interior lighting and efficient equipment, and even custom projects coming through a direct discount contractor are eligible for 15 cents per kilowatt hour, leaving us with our large businesses. Large businesses are eligible for 10 cents per kilowatt hour for prescriptive projects, custom projects, 15 cents. All incentives are capped at 50% of the project cost up to $500,000, with the exception of direct discount, where that cap is 80% instead of the 50%. Next slide. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about prescriptive and custom. Next. Again, reflected the small and large business incentive amounts at 5 and 10 cents for prescriptive. Pre-approval is not necessary for a prescriptive equipment project. It supports a wide variety of energy efficiency projects available for both retrofit and for new construction. Again, savings are determined by the technical reference manual, and our dedicated engineering team reviews 100% of projects submitted for eligibility. A few examples on the right of common measures are lighting, lighting controls, HVAC, food service, motors, and VFDs. Next slide. Our custom program. Small businesses receive 8 cents, large businesses, 15 cents. Eligible measures include, but are not limited to, compressed air, motors and VFDs, industrial process improvements, solar, building management systems, and more complex measures that require specific measurement and verification. Note that all custom projects must pass a total resource cost test to be eligible. This is a cost effectiveness test. We recommend that pre-approval for a custom project is submitted and granted before the project starts. However, if the project has already started, we will accept the project into the custom program so long as we can accurately capture the project savings. Next slide. Direct discount. Direct discount is our, next slide, please. The direct discount program is our small business offering, and this is available to any small business that completes a project using an approved direct discount contractor. We offer higher incentives for these retrofit projects for our GS1 and GS3 rate code customers. These are our small business customer rate codes. These projects do require pre-approval. If by chance a project would be started before a pre-approval would be granted, it would simply be reverted back to our standard program incentive rates. Calling out to the right-hand side again, exterior lighting at 10 cents per kilowatt hour saved, all other measures at 15 cents, with a cap at 80% of the total project cost. Next slide. Here is a list of the eligible measures available through our direct discount program. Rather than read through them, I'll give you a moment to take a look, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Instant discounts, our point of purchase price reduction program. Next slide. Instant discounts toward qualified energy efficiency projects, lighting, HVAC, food service, and agriculture. Purchased through participating distributors. There's no application to submit. There's no waiting for the incentive. It is a reduction of the cost of that item immediately at purchase. Originally intended for smaller maintenance and replacement projects, it has grown into a very popular source, especially for the lighting measures. We will accept a project with up to $20,000 of incentive without any pre-approval. And note that any exterior lighting projects, even if they exceed $20,000 of incentive value, do not need a pre-approval. All products must meet efficiency requirements such as Energy Star and DLC. Next slide. Submitting an application. Next. Very simple process. We have an online application portal. A customer would go to the application portal or have their contractor do the same and submit an application. Once we receive the application, we verify that all the documents and data are there. Our engineering team would review the project, everything being in good order. We would issue a pre-approval letter. I would like to note that when we issue a pre-approval letter, we are also reserving incentive dollars for that specific project. After installation is complete, you return to the application portal, submit a payment request that indicates to us that the project is complete, where we begin our final analysis. Once the final analysis is complete, we issue a check. Important to know, we're here to help. We are ready and willing to set up a call and guide you through the application. Our application can be completed in 20 to 30 minutes in that guided call. Next. After the final engineering review is complete for a project, a check is issued within 4 to 6 weeks. Next. That's it. Thank you very much.
Bud, and now we're going to turn it over to Ryan, who's going to discuss First Energy's program. Ryan?
Yes, hello everyone. My name's Ryan Sedliak. I'm here to talk about the First Energy program. There's going to be a lot of similarities to what Bud was saying here. So we are currently in phase 4, which started on June 1st of 2021 and ends on May 31st of 2026. All right, so next slide. So First Energy Pennsylvania comprises 4 operating companies. We have MedEd, Penn Power, Penelec, and West Penn Power. This little image here kind of shows you where they're all at, how they're all situated. So if you hear someone say, well, I have Penelec, not First Energy, they actually do have First Energy. It's all First Energy Pennsylvania. Next slide. So the Act 129 program is open to all customers. We do have a residential portion, which we won't discuss here, but then we have a small commercial and industrial, which is defined by your rate code, but it's also defined by your peak demand, which is less than 400 kW. We have large commercial and industrial, or LCI, which is greater than 400 kW. And then we have our government, nonprofit, and institutional, which would have that GNI classification. In terms of eligible equipment, it does need to be something new. Lighting does need to have Energy Star or Design Lights Consortium certification, or DLC. If there is a light that doesn't necessarily fit into one of those categories, you can seek program approval, and we can look into if that is something that is an option. You also have to have an approved measure category, so something we've seen before. That being said, we recognize that new technology is always coming. And so if you have a new technology, I encourage you to reach out to the program and we can review it and see if it's something that is rebate eligible. We do have the 180-day look back option for almost all of our programs. A few of them do not and would require pre-approval. But for that 180-day look back, the measures would need to be installed, commissioned, and operational within the last 180 days. And then just a few common ineligible measures that sometimes people ask about are power factor correction, motor soft start, fuel switching, or using used equipment. So our incentives typically fall into one of two categories. So the performance rebates, which would be cents per kWh, or prescriptive rebates, which would be dollars per unit. So if you think of HVAC, tends to be dollars per ton. If you think of lighting, tends to be cents per kWh. I've kind of listed what goes where here on this slide. Throughout this presentation, you won't see any incentives actually listed on any of the slides, but we do encourage you to go to our website. That is where the latest and greatest incentives are. We recognize this is the final year of the phase, and so funds are starting to become limited. So, if you're ever curious what the incentive is, always check the website. It'll always have the latest and greatest. So at First Energy, we have three CSPs that we work with. We have Franklin Energy, Willdan, and ClearResult. Each of them has their own thing to do. So for Franklin, they handle our lighting and prescriptive program. They handle our custom program and our solar program. Willdan will handle building tune-up, our building operator program, our new construction program, and our custom building improvements. And then ClearResult handles our relationship management, working with various customers, helping to make the application process easier, helping to figure out which program is the best one to submit into. And if needed, they can even provide some estimates of savings. And as always, our website, energysafepa.com. If you scroll down, you'll see the business section, and there's various groupings there that you can click on to learn more information. So I just want to kind of highlight a few of our programs that are some of the more popular ones. And the first one is obviously lighting. So it is both performance-based and prescriptive, depending on what you're looking to do. Incentives are capped at 100% of the itemized equipment cost, up to $500,000. So some of our performance measures, right, which is that cents per kWh, are on the left there. And some of our prescriptive measures are over on the right. So controls, lamps, exit signs, things like that. Next up, we have custom, which is kind of the catch-all, right? So it is also performance-based, and it is capped at 50% of the project cost, up to $500,000. Some of the common stuff we see, right? Industrial process upgrades, air compressor upgrades, chiller upgrades, motors, system improvements, data centers are becoming a big thing in Pennsylvania. Chilled water systems, VFDs, custom controls, ag processes. And then if you think of anything that you think might be saving energy, we definitely encourage you to reach out to the program, and we can investigate and see if we think that, yes, this is something that is rebate eligible. Another big thing we see is photovoltaics or solar. So it is also performance-based, capped at 50% of the project cost, up to the $500,000. You must meet the interconnection requirements to connect into the First Energy grid, and then you must be eligible to participate in the Act 129 program. We can only incentivize offset energy, not wholesale. So if you install a 3 megawatt solar array, but you only use 500 kW, the max incentive would be 500 kW. You must receive an interconnection agreement before we'll send an offer letter, which formally pre-approves your application. We will send you an eligibility notice to say, hey, this is Act on 29 eligible, but we do not know if you've met the interconnection requirements. You have to get that from our interconnection team. And then you must comply with all interconnection and net metering requirements. Just some ineligible stuff, right? So auxiliary battery storage, used equipment, and like I said, any wholesale, right, where you're just pushing it out onto the grid and not offsetting would also not be eligible. We also have our custom building improvement or CBI program. This one is performance-based, capped at 50% of the project cost. It does need to be multi-measure, right? So, building shell, HVAC, lighting, something that's energy savings combined with other things, right? So think of it as, hey, I'm doing a big upgrade across my building, right? With the CBI program, you just enter it all in at once and it all gets processed as one thing. We do recommend enrolling in the CBI program and making sure that it is rebate eligible. We also have a limited time offer. Bud beat me to the punch on this one, but I think I beat him on the start date. So we are also offering a building operations training limited time offer. It is already going on until the end of the year, where we will cover the cost of the course. We encourage you to go to the website, register. You can also reach out to me, and I will get you to the right person to get you registered. We do offer both the BOC1 and BOC2 courses. Next, we've got some lunch and learns coming up in our PennTAP territory. So if you're near Wilkes-Barre, we invite you to come on July 24th, where it'll be this slide deck, but significantly larger as we go into a lot more detail about some of our other programs. And then we also have one on August 5th that will be in Erie. And then we have another one that we are in the process of scheduling in Altoona. So all through our PennTAP territory, we encourage you to come learn about the program and have a free lunch. Finally, we do recognize that this is the final year of the phase, and we do anticipate a phase 5. What it looks like, we do not yet know. But as we go through this final year, incentives may or may not change. So you can always check online for our most recent, latest, and greatest incentives. If you have an application in our system today and it slips into phase 5, you don't have to worry about it. We will hold on to that application for you. And then if you have an application that you think may be phase 5, we welcome the opportunity to talk about it and kind of go through what next steps would be and what we think we can do today to make sure that we stay aware of your application, and when phase 5 opens up, we can make sure that we incentivize that. All right, finally, got a lot of contact information up here. So you've got my email address right there. Franklin Energy Program Manager, Patricia Ferrero. Wildan Program Manager is Paya Mismali. And then our Clear Result Program Manager is James Fago. We also have a LinkedIn page. I think we only have like 500 people following. So, definitely scan that QR code right there and follow us on LinkedIn. That's where all of this information is easily accessible, including the invite lists. So you can get yourself onto those lunch and learns, and then any future lunch and learns that we do will also come from there as well. All right, so thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. That was amazing. And last but not least, we're going to turn it over to Liz McQuaid for Duquesne Light. Liz?
Thanks, Jen. A lot of my information will be duplicative and echo the PPL and First Energy's program. So I will just be very pithy here going through this. So I'm here to speak about the Duquesne Light Act 129 rebate programs. If we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Franklin Energy is the implementer for the Duquesne Light C&I programs, commercial and industrial programs. Our contact information is listed right here, as well as my own personal contact information. Please feel free to reach out with any questions you have about the program. We're happy to walk you through the process. We really try to offer a concierge model that's hands-off for both the customer as well as the contractor, in order to kind of take that paperwork off your plate and make this process as easy as possible. The next slide, please. So, a little overview about Act 129, which we heard. I think the key information here is that you as customers are paying into these programs. If you look on your utility bill, regardless of what company it comes from, you're going to see something along the lines of an EE surcharge. So everyone's paying into these programs on a monthly basis. This is your chance to kind of recoup some of that money that you've been paying into the programs while, doing upgrades to your own facilities and businesses. Really important information is that Act 129, we do have 180 days to process a rebate after a project has been complete. So if you've completed something in the last 6 months, please know it still is eligible for incentives. If you are working on maybe a phased lighting retrofit, for example, we could also, maybe look at each floor of a building, wrap each one in a separate application, get you a rebate check, put that funding towards your next phase of the project. There's really no right way to do it. It's what works best for you. And we're happy to talk you through that when you connect with us. First, Duquesne does not offer pre-approval, unlike the other utilities. So incentives are on a first come, first serve basis. Next slide, please. So right now, due to some funding constrictions, the small and medium programs have been shut down. So right now, the only programs currently available for customers are for large commercial and large industrial customers only. If you have a question, if that applies to you, if you can provide me with your account number, I'm happy to verify if that applies to you. Right now, for the large customer segments, we have a prescriptive instant discount and custom program available. Next slide. So right now, for those large customers that are eligible, we do offer prescriptive rebates. We also offer custom rebates at 8 cents a kilowatt hour. We recently just launched a limited time offer bonus for large commercial customers. Those are typically like your healthcare, universities, large office spaces, large retailers. But a bonus of 2 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's applied to either prescriptive or the custom rebate. I have links here to our rebate catalog as well as our contact information. A simple rule of thumb is that if the project is going to save electrical energy, we can probably try to find a way to incentivize it. That can be anything from lighting retrofits to controls to retro commissioning projects, solar arrays, VFDs. We're happy to look at your project and validate if it is eligible and come up with a quick estimate for you to anticipate what that rebate might look like. Next slide, please. Here's just an example of the rebate catalog, and boy, is that hard to read. So I apologize. But, again, if you were to provide us with a brief scope of work, we would be happy to calculate what that estimated incentive would be and help you with all of the paperwork to submit for that incentive. Next slide. Here's just some examples of how these incentives can really offset the total project costs. We've we recently did a parking garage renovation where the customer went from metal halide fixtures to LED. The rebate, um, the rebate offset 90% of the total project cost. So a really good cost-effective project for that customer. They were very happy. You know, you can see the differences here with the solar as well as new construction incentives. Also, retro commissioning projects we've been seeing have really great returns as far as rebates and capping it in many cases 90% of the total project costs. So if you have a project like this planned, happy to discuss with you and look at it and put it on our radar so we are aware as we wind down in the last 11 months of the phase. Next slide. So to get started, just some simple items we would need, and then we would complete the paperwork and send it back to you for signature. It'd be best to have a utility bill, a brief scope of work, specification sheets, and then an invoice. Once you have that, we will assign an engineer from our team to work on your project, and then you would have direct line of communication with that staff member who would see your project to payment. So we'd be happy to provide a walkthrough for your facility if you're in one of those large customer segments that's still open for rebates as well. Next slide. I think that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Now that we have covered Act 129 rebates, we are going to transition over to the state grant programs that your company may qualify for. We're going to start with Samantha Harmon, the Small Business Ombudsman from the Pennsylvania DEP, and she will begin with a discussion on the Small Business Advantage Grant Program. Samantha has been an employee of the DEP for over 17 years, serving first as an air quality program specialist with a focus on mobile sources in the DEP's Bureau of Air Quality Central Office. She assumed the role of PADEP Small Business Ombudsman in April 2021. And for those who don't know, the Small Business Ombudsman Office within the DEP was established for the purpose of serving as the confidential primary point of contact for small businesses on issues relating to compliance with the Pennsylvania Air Pollution Control Act and the Federal Clean Air Act. We will then hear from Olivia Yost, the Program Manager for RISE PA's Small Award Tract. She has a strong background in science policy, grant administration, and program management. Olivia oversees all aspects of PennTAP's RISE PA program and is also focused on building strong relationships with local partners and businesses across the state to maximize the impact and reach of RISE PA. And now I'll turn it over to Samantha.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me on the call. I will try to slide through these slides as quickly as possible to keep us on track. So let's jump in. This is just an intro slide. You guys can look at that when you get your slide. All right, so first I want to talk about what the Small Business Ombudsman Office is, because most people have no idea. I do like to do a little introduction, just tell you what my office is and why we offer the program we offer. So the Ombudsman Office is part of the Small Business Environmental Assistance Program. These programs are authorized in all 50 states under the Clean Air Act and in Pennsylvania under the Air Pollution Control Act. There's three elements. There's our Technical Assistance Program, which you are probably very familiar with EMAP. We have our Small Business Compliance Advisory Committee, and then we have my office, the Small Business Ombudsman. It's primarily for air quality compliance, but we'll provide assistance for other media when it's possible. Next slide. So my office has a range of responsibilities, including technical compliance assistance and administering small business funding programs. We provide information about energy efficiency and pollution prevention opportunities, including potential funding sources. We talk about the benefits of taking action. So today I want to talk about the Small Business Advantage Grant Program and also the Pollution Prevention Assistance Account Loan Program. So first, we'll jump into Small Business Advantage Grant Program. This is the 22nd year of the SBAG program being offered to the public. Small change here. So our current estimated opening date is August 1st of 2025. I will send out updated slides for that. There is $1 million available every year under this program. So every year in July, around July, we will offer $1 million for these projects. The programs for Pennsylvania-based small businesses with 100 or fewer full-time equivalent employees, and that does include all businesses, the global employee count, so everything under common management or ownership. There are no significant changes from last year's program. We're trying to keep things level. We're going to keep the same funding levels and eligibility requirements. We did some minor updates for clarification. Basically, the proposal must save a business at least $500 and 20% annually in energy or pollution prevention related expenses. So this can include everything from utility savings or expenses eliminated, such as disposal costs. So, for example, we do upgrading to digital X-rays. So the cost of disposal of the development chemicals could count towards your savings for the project. Natural resource protection projects are not subject to minimum financial savings, but they are required to have an environmental savings element to them. And our current categories for project types are lighting, HVAC, boilers, refrigeration, truck retrofits, medical X-rays and scanners, and natural resource protection, which includes both agricultural and urban stormwater management projects. And we also have an other category for projects that might not fit into one of these. Next slide. So for this round, the project work must be done between July 1st of this year and June 30th of next year. So just to clarify, you can, if the project work started on or after July 1st, even though we're not opening till August 1st, you can apply for funding for those projects if they're eligible. We won't pay for any work that was done before July 1. So the grant funds are a reimbursement of eligible expenses. So vendors must be paid and the project work must be complete, and the grantee will receive a reimbursement of those funds. We do only cover equipment costs, so no labor, installation, fees, taxes, anything else. So basically just equipment and supplies. So the maximum grant award, and this can get confusing, but we do have a grant calculator. It's a lesser of 50% up to $7,500, or the lesser of 80% up to $12,000. So the reason it's set up this way is there's two available kind of bump ups in what you're eligible for. So the baseline is 50%. You can get a bump up for it being in an environmental justice area. The project is actually located in an EJ area. You can also get a bump up for a significant environmental impact, improvement impact. So the grant calculator that we have available will automatically incorporate those bump ups if you're eligible for them. So the grant amount that it provides as an estimate incorporates those elements. So if you're going to get a bump up, it will be in your estimate. This is an online application process. So it's completely electronic application system. Grants are awarded on first come, first serve, and you'll want to act quickly because once the money's gone, the money's gone. The next. So eligible applicants include for-profit businesses, including sole proprietorships that are registered and taxed in PA. As I mentioned, 100 or fewer full-time equivalent employees. They must be registered for an SAP vendor number. You must be able to fully pay your contractors prior to reimbursement. And some businesses that are attached to residences and commercial properties with certain petitions might be eligible for funding as well. They'd be ineligible if they're not meeting any of those prior conditions, if they're a nonprofit, not-for-profit tax exempt organization, local government, municipal organization, if they have current or unresolved environmental violations, or financial or other obligations to the Commonwealth, if they're franchisees, or if they're property management companies, unless they are the owner or the tenant. Next slide. As far as costs, ineligible if any equipment purchased or installed before July 1, research and development, new buildings or additions, building envelope, as I mentioned, labor, installation, taxes, and fees. So there's a list in the program guidelines of ineligible costs and project types. So if you want to, you can go review it in the guidelines once those are posted. Next. So projects that are eligible are to install equipment or material resulting in energy efficiency or pollution prevention, adopt processes which reduce energy consumption, reduce consumption of raw materials, increase the reuse of raw materials on site, reduce the production of waste, or reduce sediment, nutrient runoff, or other pollution into directly affected waterways. It must be a replacement or an upgrade of existing equipment. So new equipment or new facilities are not eligible. There are some exemptions for trucks and natural resource protection. This is just some examples of the different types of projects we have funded and will fund. By far, LED lighting is our workhorse. That's about 80% of our projects. Boilers and HVACs have been increasing. But really, if you look at the list, there is a wide variety of project types that we've done and that we consider. So if you have something that you think might be eligible, just reach out to us and we're happy to talk to you about it. Next. So applicants can submit more than one application per year, but no business or businesses with common ownership will be awarded more than the maximum grant award. So there is a calculator available as well if you want to submit 2 projects. What we suggest is combining them into one project rather than submitting 2 separate applications. It makes it easier for us to analyze them and award the funding. Next. Okay, and this is just some links to the program. So I included the full link in case the click on link doesn't work. You can copy and paste that. And I also did a little screenshot of, I know this says 2020, they will say 2025 when you go to open them on the website once we have the new documents posted. But look for this section that says the SBAG grant documents. Next. All right, getting into the loan program. So the Pollution Prevention Assistance Account loan is a low interest loan program that's jointly administered by DEP and the Department of Community and Economic Development. Another quick little update, we do have a little bit more funding available than that number. So as of June 2025, we now have $1.686 million available in that revolving loan fund. It does never close. Again, it's a revolving loan fund program. It's also for Pennsylvania-based small businesses with 100 or fewer full-time equivalent employees. It'll cover up to 75% of total project costs. It's a 2% fixed rate for the life of the loan. So depending on the economic climate, that can be a really, really good deal. It's a 10-year maximum term with a maximum loan amount of $100,000 for any 12-month period. And just to make the point, we do have both of these funding programs. You can use both of these programs simultaneously if you get approved for them. And we also encourage people, if it is a small, quick project, you probably want to look at the grant program because that has a project period of 1 year. If it is a longer term or a stacked project, you might want to look at the loan program because that allows you to spend money over up to 10 years. Okay, next slide. So any eligible business except mining enterprises and developers having 100 or fewer full-time equivalent employees at the time of submission are eligible applicants. Loan funds may be used to adopt or install pollution prevention or energy efficient equipment or processes that reduce or reuse raw materials on site, reduce production of waste at the source, or significantly reduce energy consumption. Projects that have commenced before receiving the approval of a loan, unless the borrower has received a non-prejudicial approval from PennTAP to commence, are considered ineligible. So what that translates to is if you start the project before your loan is approved, they may not approve the loan for the project work. They may approve less of your request and only approve what hasn't been completed. So it's really kind of easy to reach out to DCED to get this pre-approval to start the project. And again, receiving this pre-approval, this non-prejudicial approval, does not guarantee approval for your loan application. It just means that you are on record as you can start the project while we process your loan. Okay, next. So the way that it works between the 2 agencies is the business must first complete a determination of eligibility application through DP. The purpose of that application is to verify that there are positive environmental impacts from the project that's proposed. And then it meets some of those other limitations that I noted on the other slide about not being more than 75% or $100,000, et cetera. Once you have this determination of eligibility, applicants would have to work through your local Certified Economic Development Organization, or your CEDO, to apply for the actual loan through DCED. So we do basically a pre-review for the environmental impact. DCED does like the actual loan processing. Individuals cannot apply directly. They have to go through a CEDO, and the CEDO submits the formal loan application. Yeah, we anticipate that businesses will pay back the loan through savings realized from the reductions of costs in raw materials, waste disposal, or energy use. Next. Again, just a slide with some links for you and a little visual of where you want to look for the documentation. Okay, next. And just wanted to do a quick little plug on other available programs. So our Energy Programs Office has numerous funding opportunities available. I do like to plug them when I do presentations. And we have someone that's going to speak about the RISE PA program here after me. We also have our DEP grants, loan, and rebate page, which is where you can find all of the funding available through DEP. And then there's also a new tool available, which is a searchable database of all available funding from all state agencies. So this is a new thing that's just come up in the last year or so, where you can go in and you can search by topic and find all of the applicable funding programs from all the state agencies in one place for whatever topic you're looking at. And I did just want to mention quickly that for the Small Business Advantage Grant, we do not penalize you for utilizing utility rebates or manufacturing rebates or discounts or sales. So there's not a penalty on you for utilizing those additional resources to knock your costs down for your project. So we do encourage you to seek out those additional rebates and discounts when you're applying for the grant. So I think next should just be my contact. Yep, that is the end for me. So I'll happy to answer questions at the end.
Thank you so much, Sam. Next, we're going to turn it over to Olivia, who's going to discuss the RISE PA Small Award Tract. Olivia?
Thanks, Jen, and thanks everyone for joining today. For the next couple minutes, I'm going to do a high-level overview of RISE PA and then specifically get into the Small Track Award program that's administered by PennTAP. I hope that'll be relevant to many of you. RISE, next slide. RISE PA stands for Reducing Industrial Sector Emissions in Pennsylvania, and it's funded through EPA's Climate Pollution Reduction Grant under the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. This is a $396 million statewide industrial decarbonization grant program, which aims to substantially reduce greenhouse gas and co-pollutant emissions from Pennsylvania's industrial sector by funding small, medium, and large-scale decarb projects at industrial facilities across our Commonwealth. And this is the second largest competitive award that's ever been secured in Pennsylvania's history. So we're really excited. Next slide. This program covers a wide range of projects listed here. So that includes energy efficiency projects, electrification, projects that reduce industrial process emissions, fuel switching projects, on-site renewable energy, carbon capture utilization and storage projects, fugitive emissions reductions technologies, and others. Next slide. So the RISE PA program has three major funding tracks that categorizes applicants based on their facility size and their total project costs. And you can see in this table that they vary in several important areas. And as you apply, you should be sure to apply to the track that is most appropriate for your proposed project. And importantly, the DEP is responsible for administering the medium and large scale RISE PA awards. And then PennTAP is charged with administering the small scale award program for RISE PA, and that will provide $20 million in awards over the period performance. And that's what I'm going to be discussing in greater detail today, and that's highlighted in that red box. So the SAT program specifically supports manufacturing facilities, and more details about what that definition includes can be found in section 4.1 of the grant guidance. But generally, that includes facilities that are engaged in the mechanical, physical, or chemical transformation of materials, substances, or components into new goods and assembled goods or parts. The MAT and LAT programs are not limited to manufacturing facilities, and they accept applications from industrial facilities more broadly. The facility site that is applying to the SAT program must have fewer than 500 full-time employees. The broader company can employ more than 500, but that specific manufacturing set of interests must employ fewer than 500. And the MAT and LAT programs allow for a larger number of employees per site. In terms of the total project costs allowed for the SAT program, total project costs begin at $50,000, but could be no more than $1 million. And we would recommend getting a quote prior to completing your application just to make sure that your project isn't inching up into the MAT category. The MAT and LAT tracks increase in total project costs from there, and you can see that on the table. Across all three tracks, there are bonus awards available that can increase the amount of funds that can be received and reduce the total required cost share. And for the SAT program, this includes the community benefit bonus, which is worth 10% of the total project cost and can be awarded to projects located in or benefiting the impacted communities. And then the fair labor bonus, which is worth an additional 10% of the total project cost and may be awarded to projects that meet additional labor requirements that go beyond the prevailing wage and apprenticeship requirements that all projects must satisfy. And then finally, the greenhouse gas emissions bonus only applies to MAT and LAT grant programs. A minimum greenhouse gas emission reduction threshold is not prescribed for the SAT program, but the amount of reduction will be considered during the evaluation process. Importantly, and finally, all the tracks require a cost share. The SAT program requires a 50% cost share. Therefore, successfully awarded projects from PennTAP will have awards ranging from $25,000 to $500,000 for a project with total project costs of $50,000 to $1 million. Next slide. This is an outline of the next three anticipated funding rounds for the SAT program, specifically the MAT and LAT programs, which are administered by DEP, operate on their own timeline. So this is specific to SAT only. Round 1 of the SAT program is currently open and accepting applications, and this round will close on August 15th. And we anticipate rounds 2 and 3 to open in September 2025 and January of 2026, respectively, with more rounds to follow. We're expecting about 3 rounds per year. After application, each proposed project will go through a 3-part review process, which will assess project and quality factors. That begins with an administrative review to make sure all of your documentation is there, followed by a technical review to make sure the project is technically sound. And then finally, it'll be objectively scored by a selection committee. And we expect for those round 1 application awards to be announced in November or December of this year. The period of performance for all awarded projects will be 12 months from the date of the fully executed subaward agreement. And following the completion of the project and demonstration that everything is operational, there will be a period of monitoring, measurement, and verification to track the impact of that project. All projects must be completed by the anticipated sundown of the RISE PA program, which will be in early to mid 2029. This is a reimbursement grant program. Therefore, the facility is going to need to cover all of the project costs and then submit proof that these costs have been paid before they can receive their grant funds. And I want to emphasize that any applicant who begins a project without prior approval from PennTAP and incurs costs before receiving a fully executed grant agreement does so with the understanding that they may not ultimately receive an award and their costs may not be reimbursed. Next slide. And then when you're thinking of doing your application, the information about the SAT application can be found on the PennTAP RISE PA website. The website includes helpful links for you, an example completed application with a completed project budget template, an example technical assessment report, an FAQ document, and then the full grant guidance document. And I would recommend that you review all of these resources before applying and then pulling together all of that required documentation prior to beginning your application, because that'll help speed up your process. The application itself includes several main components. The first being the details about your proposed project and all of the budget information. That budget information does need to be in the budget template provided. And do a close review of that grant guidance to understand which costs are eligible and which aren't eligible for reimbursement. You'll need a technical assessment report. This is a critical component and does require time to complete. I'll talk more about this in a moment, but it must be completed by a qualified assessor. You'll need your monitoring, measurement, and verification plan. This is a plan that is proposed by all applicants for how they will collect that required data for assessing the impact of your project. Monitoring begins after your project is fully operational at the facility. And then you'll need your EPA simplified greenhouse gas emissions calculators that will be completed. And then there may be some other documentation required based on your particular circumstances, and that can be found in the grant guidance. And please reach out to the PennTAP RISE PA team if you have any questions. Next slide. So that technical assessment report that I mentioned is a critical component of the application. You cannot submit without this. It must be completed by a qualified assessor who's going to come to your facility. They'll review your utility bills. They'll work with you to identify what are those appropriate opportunities for savings and improvement. And then they'll complete the technical assessment report. There are several groups that can assist you with that report at no cost, and those include in no specific order PennTAP, CADMIS, which is the DEP's Industrial Energy Audit Team, Catalyst Connection, and Pennsylvania's Industrial and Training Assessment Centers. And you're also welcome to use any other firm that meets the definition of a qualified assessor, and more details about that can be found in Appendix E of the SAT grant guidance. And I do want to emphasize that all of these no-cost services are experiencing a high volume of requests for these technical assessments. So I'd recommend that you reach out to PennTAP or another service as soon as possible to understand their availability, and just be prepared to work with them as quickly as possible. Next slide. Logistics of how to apply. So for those applying to the RISE PA SAT program that's administered by PennTAP, you're going to go it's linked on our PennTAP RISE PA homepage, but you're going to go to Info Ready. And this is a platform that's being used by Penn State for some of our grants. You're going to type RISE into the search bar, and that'll help you locate the RISE PA application. The Info Ready portal does allow you to save your application as you apply, so you could start a draft, then return to it later. And this is a longer application, so don't wait to start compiling all the information that you need before starting. Next slide. And you'll have these links when the PowerPoints are sent out to you, but these are just some helpful links for you as you get started. The PennTAP RISE PA website, as I mentioned, has the FAQ document, the complete grant guidelines, the complete application example, an example budget template, an example technical assessment report, and then just other helpful information. And then here are another list of helpful links that will help you as you complete your application. And next slide. And then finally, here are all the contact information. Please email that PennTAP RISE PA email if you have any questions about the process, and we look forward to helping you with that. And that is everything that I have today. Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia. And Olivia mentioned something that's really important with working with the grant programs. Be sure that you include identifying grant resources and reaching out to whoever you need, be it the certified energy manager, the qualified assessor, someone who runs the program as part of your planning process, because these do take time. And there is, as you can see, there can be a delay in when you receive the award, when you can implement. So she had a great point in just pointing out this should be something you incorporate into your planning early on. So to round out our morning, we are now going to discuss the grants and programs available to develop your workforce. First, we will hear from Alex Lehman, who will present on WEDNet PA. Alex is a training specialist and WEDNet PA partner with workforce development at the Pennsylvania College of Technology. Alex specializes in helping businesses navigate the WEDNet PA program, guiding them through eligibility, application, and reimbursement processes to access state-funded training dollars. Alex also collaborates closely with companies to assess upskilling and reskilling needs, serving as a project manager to deliver tailored training solutions that drive economic workforce growth. Alex will be followed by Lori Gonzalez, a business solutions representative with PA CareerLink out of the Clinton County office. She will present on their unique on-the-job training program. At CareerLink, Lori works closely with employers to understand their unique challenges and connect them with workforce solutions, training opportunities, and community resources. Known for her collaborative approach, Lori plays a key role in supporting business growth and building strong regional partnerships. And with that, I'll turn it over to Alex.
Thanks, Jen. I will try to keep it as brief as possible. I know we're getting close to time, so I will just jump right in. Next slide, please. So a little background on WEDNET PA. First off, WEDNET PA is an acronym. It stands for Workforce and Economic Development Network of Pennsylvania, and this is our 26th year. It started in 1999 and has been through many different governors and legislative bodies, so we're lucky to be around this long. It is funded by the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development through the PA First appropriation, so it is dependent on the passage of the state budget and program funding. The grant is administered by Pennsylvania College of Technology, and we have a network of 22 partners, which I'll talk a little bit more about the role of the partners. But the main goal of the grant is to provide Pennsylvania companies funding to upskill their incumbent workers, so their current workforce, to make them more skilled or needed for promotion. And there's very similar programs like this in other states. And the goal is really to help make companies more competitive nationally and globally by improving their current skills and also helping to retain their current employees. And it's fairly easy to access the funding as long as you meet eligibility criteria, and the funding is pretty responsive to the employer needs. Next. So this map shows and shows the partners that are in the WEDNET PA network. So partners have a variety of functions and responsibilities. First off, partners help with companies determine if they are eligible for the program. They also help companies navigate the application process and our online database system. And we also assist with the reimbursement and all of the documentation needed. So a company can work with any partner that they like. They do have to choose a partner when they apply. It is not geographic, so it's really up to the company who they work with. Next slide, please. So in terms of collaboration, other than the partner network, there is a group of other stakeholders that we work with that help collaborate on the program. Obviously, the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry, they provide a lot of insight to us on trends, needed workforce skills, etc. Workforce development boards are also really key to WEDNET PA. The partners work with the workforce development boards to make sure that we're distributing funding in a way that is most beneficial to our local economic development goals and areas. The others listed on the slide are all really important partners in terms of finding new companies to serve, making sure we are working on local and state level goals, also helping to make sure that we're leveraging other funding sources appropriately with WEDNET. So lots of collaboration and working together, which is really beneficial to the companies. Next slide, please. In terms of the application process, there is a set application. It opens for the next funding round on August 1st. Very similarly, though, it runs on a July 1st to June 30th fiscal year. So despite the application opening in August, any training that happened July 1st of this year on is eligible for reimbursement, pending the other eligibility requirements. There is an online portal that companies use to apply. It's called ISAC, which stands for Information Sharing Administration and Analysis Center. And it's a brand new website that launched. It's based on Salesforce, and it launched in December 2024. And again, the partners can help assist the companies with the application and also help them with needs assessments, training plans. If you need help determining where to do a training or providers, we can certainly help navigate that as well. Once we get a decent pool of applicants, it is on a rolling basis, the application, but there is kind of an initial round. We will look at those and recommend the grant amounts, and then the state office will approve the final award. Companies do have a lot of flexibility in the application. They can choose any training provider that they like in any location and format as long as it meets some minimum criteria. And it is a reimbursement program. That is a really important thing to remember. The company will receive an initial award, is what we call it, and I liken it almost to a pre-approval for a loan. So they will know how much funding is available to them, but they will not receive the funding until the training has been completed, and they need to submit documentation to receive that reimbursement. Next slide. So in terms of eligibility, we first look at the company. The company must be located in Pennsylvania. It doesn't have to be the headquarters, but at least one location. And they do have to be in an eligible industry. And those industries align with Pennsylvania's 10-year strategic plan for economic development put out in 2024. So those sectors are agriculture, energy, life sciences, manufacturing, and robotics and technology. And we determine whether a company is in an eligible industry or not based on their NAICS code. So they are required to include that in the application. There is a cycle of funding. You can receive funding, continuously. There's no set amount of times that you can receive WEDNET PA funding, but you can receive it 2 years in a row or 3 out of a 5-year period, and then you have to have a sit-out year. And that's really just to even the playing field because it is pretty competitive. There is a maximum grant per employee, which is $2,000 per employee per fiscal year is the maximum, and $100,000 is the maximum per company per fiscal year, but is certainly not guaranteed to get funded at that level. Next slide. So employee eligibility, couple things to keep in mind. They have to be a resident of Pennsylvania and work in Pennsylvania. They have to earn at least $16.74 per hour. They have to be a permanent full-time employee and eligible for full-time benefits, and they have to be legally eligible to work in the United States. Next slide. Training eligibility is pretty fluid and flexible, which is great for companies. Really up to the company, the format and location of the training. So it could be classroom, instructor-led, self-paced, whatever works best. It can be provided by a WEDNET PA partner if they are a training provider, but it can also be any third-party provider or in-house staff. And the third-party providers do not have to be located in Pennsylvania, but please keep in mind that travel fees are not eligible for reimbursement. It does have to be skill building for a current job or needed for promotion, and has to fall within the July 1st to June 30th fiscal year. So start and end within a fiscal year. So partial training can't be reimbursed. For example, an 18-month program would never be eligible for WEDNET PA because it would span multiple fiscal years. The cost has to be considered reasonable. There's no set market rate for that. That would really be a discussion between the WEDNET PA state office and the partner if we have concerns about that, and we would reach out to the company if there were concerns about a training cost on the application. And at minimum, the training must be 30 minutes in length to meet eligibility. Next slide. These are some examples of training topics. I will not read them all for you, but as long as the training falls within the needed skills for the person's current job or needed for promotion, as long as it's fairly aligned, it most likely will be eligible for reimbursement. Next slide. And these are some outcomes, just to give you some context of scale of the program and impact. Annually, there are around 700 companies and 20,000 workers trained under WEDNET PA. Since its inception through June 2024, we've had over 24,000 companies receive funding and 1.4 million workers trained under the grant. We see typically that companies leverage more of their own training dollars than WEDNET. So typically companies spend $1.50 to every dollar spent on WEDNET PA or by WEDNET PA, excuse me. So it just really helps stretch the training funds and does not replace a training budget for a company. We've had more than 9,500 providers deliver training under WEDNET PA, and the training funds are reimbursed to sectors aligned with the 10-year strategic plan for economic development. So we're hopeful that that will help strengthen the goals of that program. Next slide. Again, more outcomes. 99% of companies report positive outcomes after participating in WEDNET PA and receiving the training grants and training. Improved product quality, improved communication and teamwork, safer workplaces with fewer accidents, and job promotions and pay raises for employees. We see 95% of companies experience a positive impact on their business overall. And 90% say that training helped to address the issues of finding skilled employees. And finally, 70% of companies see an increase in employee morale after receiving training through WEDNET PA. Next slide. And this is the end. My contact information is there. Again, companies can work with any WEDNET PA partner of their choosing, but I would certainly be happy to answer any questions and help with an application. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. And now we're going to turn it over to Lori, who will discuss on-the-job training.
Thank you, Jen. And I'll also talk as fast as I can to get through the material. I'll probably skip a few slides as well, but let's go to the next slide. I'm here to talk about on-the-job training. Moving forward in the slides, I'm just going to refer to that as an OJT. An OJT is a reimbursement of 50% of a new hire wage up to $22 per hour. It's given to employers for the cost of training a new employee who may not have the necessary skills for the position that they are filling. OJTs are considered an employment strategy, training plan, and training subsidies. Next slide. So as an employment strategy, it increases your candidate pool by allowing employers to hire individuals who may lack certain skills, but can be trained while working with wage reimbursement support. The idea behind it is that by training, the goal is to secure a long-term employee with demonstrated competencies. Next slide, please. The training plan is a written plan that's going to be developed by the business service team at CareerLink along with the employer. We pull the material from the job description as well as other information that the employer will provide. The training plan is going to outline targeted skills and training methods. It's going to describe how the employer will measure success. It's going to identify specific work hours, duration of the plan, and wages. The training plan will define clear expectations. Next slide. OJT is a 50% reimbursement of a wage. It's to subsidize the cost related to the training period. We understand that this is an investment of time and resources for the business. The length of the OJT is based on the skill requirements of the occupation and the skill level of the candidate. The maximum length of a contract is 6 months, a total of 10,040 hours. So let's just throw out some numbers just to get an idea of this. If you're an employer and you're starting an employee out at the wage of $22 an hour, we would reimburse half of that. So if you take the 11 times the 1040, that's a reimbursement of $11,440. We know employers are, constantly hiring. Let's say that they use the program twice in a year. That's $25,000 coming back to an employer. When that comes back as a reimbursement each month, we do not monitor how that money is being used. You could put it back into payroll. You could use it for retention strategies or sign-on bonuses or whatnot. The reimbursement is going to be based on actual hours worked and trained, so no sick days or vacation days are covered. Overtime, prevailing wage rates, and shift premiums need to be reimbursed, but it's at the wage agreed upon in the contract. So The employer has to be paying the appropriate higher wage. We are only going to reimburse at the standard agreed upon rate. And in the instance that we talked about, it would be the $11 an hour. Documentation is required each month for the reimbursement. We would collect a progress report. This is just you checkboxing whether or not they're doing marginal, poor, good, excellent, a reimbursement request form. And then you also provide the payroll stub for the employee and timesheets. So that's just typical material that HR or payroll already has. Next slide, please. Benefits of an OJT for a business. So businesses are going to retain control of their hires. So what that means is that if we are working with the employer and posting the positions and we refer a job seeker to you, knowing that they're eligible for OJT, you decide whether or not you want to move forward with an interview. If you like the candidate, that's your choice, and then you can use the OJT program to offset the training of that employee. You could also do what we call a reverse referral. So let's say you are posting your positions on Indeed. You identify a candidate, you bring them in for an interview. You like the candidate, but they're lacking the skills needed for the job, and you know you're going to need to train them. You just call our office and do a reverse referral to find out if the candidate is eligible for the program. Again, it's a 50% wage reimbursement. The training is to the exact specifications of your business. This provides potential leadership opportunities for your current employees as they potentially train the new employee. And then you also get PA CareerLink staff support. What that means is like with the progress report, if you're marking poor on it, we will reach out and work with that candidate in addition to what you're doing. So we like to consider ourselves an extension of your HR and to support you. Next slide, please. I'm just going to skip past this. Next slide. There's eligibility requirements for both the business and the job seeker. So for the business, you need to be registered with CareerLink. You're committing to provide long-term employment. It can't be for temporary positions. You must be able to train and supervise the candidates. You're going to provide compensation and benefits equal to any of your other employees. You ensure that the OJT position is not going to displace a current employee or result in their decreased hours. And you can't be currently involved in a labor dispute. We also look at ADA accessibility. And this does not apply to smaller companies with 15 or less employees. Next slide. The benefits of an OJT for a job seeker. Job seekers are going to receive entry-level positions into something that they desire to work at, their career path. They're going to earn a wage while learning. They're going to receive direct training from your employees who are already experienced in those roles. And again, they are going to receive CareerLink staff support. They are paired with a career coach. Next slide. There are occupational qualifications as well. Like I said, it needs to be for a long-term, full-time employment. It can't be seasonal or temporary. If it is a seasonal position, it needs to be for 38 weeks or less per year. It can't be for 38 weeks or less per year. If it's seasonal, such as like highway construction and you're doing layoffs, we need to be able to verify that at least 80% of the employees are going to be rehired over multiple years. If that's the case, then OJT is still possible for that employer. When we say full-time, it needs to be for 30 hours or more per week. That is what we consider full-time. It needs to be traditional wages. We do not reimburse for commission or piece rate, so that would make a company ineligible. It can't be affiliated to any political or religious activities. and the employer cannot be requiring professional licensures or exams, for instance, like a realty a company or an insurance company. Our workforce board is going to give priority to high occupation opportunities and industry clusters, and we need to show that it's going to be a family sustaining wage. Next slide. Again, we talked about eligibility for employers, but the candidates must also be eligible for our program. So they need to be enrolled in CareerLink and meet requirements. And of course needs to be a job that they want to do. So they have to want to do that particular position, and they need to lack skills for that job in order for the training to be necessary. They have to have a high school diploma or a GED or be enrolled in an adult basic education program. They can't already be one of your employees. This is for new hires only, and something to highlight is that the candidate cannot begin working until the contract is approved by our Workforce Development Board. Next slide. This program is going to be ideal for job seekers who possess some, but not all the required skills. Somebody who is possibly making a career change or re-entering the workforce, somebody who thrives with hands-on learning, and the need to earn a wage while learning an occupation. Next slide. The OJT process is pretty simple. You just contact our office to discuss your open positions or to refer your candidates. We determine whether or not they're going to be eligible. We create the training plan. Again, it's developed with your job description and your input. You sign the contract and we push it on to our Workforce Development Board, who then reviews it and approves. You then hire your employee and start training. You submit your reimbursements monthly, and at the end of that, we hope that you gain a skilled employee that continues the career with you and your business. Next slide. That's all we have for now. So I will probably update this and resend it to Jen to include my contact information. So if anybody has any questions, they can reach out directly.
Well, thank you, Lori. So please keep in mind that we could not possibly cover every grant funding source that's available. So I have a list here. This will come in with the PowerPoint for you with all the links. The two most important I do want to highlight, Sam already highlighted the Discover State Grants. This is an amazing, amazing database. So be sure to check it out. And then there's also a database of state incentives for renewables and efficiency called Desire. That one is monitored by the North Carolina State University. When using either of these databases, be sure that you verify that the grant program is accepting applications before you begin the process. And I always recommend reaching out to the grant coordinators so that you ensure that it is the correct fit for you. Before we conclude and we get to the Q&A, just remember we do have a webinar coming up next month on August 21st. Join Krista Schneider, our Northeast Regional Advisor, who will be discussing engaging with Penn State's medical innovation ecosystem. And now we are at the question and answer session of the program. So the first question we have is, will participants on this call receive a recording of the slides? Yes, we will be sending out a link to the recording and also include the slides so that you have everybody's contact information, can select the links that we've provided to you in the PowerPoint. And then the second question, will the payment portal has been difficult processing for the DEP SBAG program? Will that be working better for the next grant round? Sam, I'm going to leave that one for you.
Okay, and I will answer that quickly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I am going to assume that the question is about the partner portal registration. So I do apologize if you are a current or past applicant, if that was difficult for you. You were not the only one. There was quite a few hiccups. It was the first year that we used it. So we do anticipate going into next year, now that we've gone through a year, that it will go a lot smoother. If you are a previous applicant from this year or grantee from this year, you won't have to re-register. You won't have to do anything again. So and that kind of goes across the board for all the requirements for the program. So like with your SAP vendor number, correcting your records, banking info, all of that we require. If you've done it this year, you don't have to do it again next year. So if you are reapplying, you're already in Partner Portal, and it should be a much smoother process next year. So we are endeavoring to continuously make improvements, and when we have to incorporate something new, few bumps in the road, but hopefully it'll go smoother into the second year.
Those are the only questions we have at the moment. Before I close, I know oh, here we go. We got another one. So for organizations applying to the RISE grant, what is the current lead time for scheduling a P2E2 assessment? I can go ahead and answer that. It is going to depend on your region, to be quite honest. If you want to contact me at jsm148@psu.edu and let me know what county you're in, I'd be more than happy to get you to your regional advisor, and they can take it from there. Some regions are busier than others, so it's a bit of a hard question to answer. Anyone else? Oh, we participate in the WEDNET program. We had funding the past 2 fiscal periods. Does that mean we are eligible in only one of the next 3 periods? Alex, I'll leave that for you.
Yeah, I could give you I can always, if you shoot me an email, just let me know your company name. I can take a look and let you know specifically the years that you would be eligible. If you did receive funding the past 2 years, then you would definitely not be eligible for fiscal year 25-26. But I'd have to look at even further back to see how that might impact if you're in that 3 out of a 5-year period. But I'd be happy to look at that for you if you shoot me an email.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, it appears that that's all we have for question and answer. Keep in mind, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to the program manager, you can reach out to your regional PennTAP advisor should you have any additional questions. Again, I would like to thank today's presenters for joining us to discuss their programs. We work closely with them, but they live them, we don't. And I really, really, truly appreciate you guys donating your time today. And with that, we'll go ahead and close the webinar. Again, any additional questions, just reach out, and thanks.
Thank you.